People keep comparing the Trump regime to fascist Germany of the 1930s. So I decided to do some research on fascism to determine what's going on here. What are all the experts talking about? Why have many of the experts in fascism fled the United States to other countries? Is the Trump administration a fascist regime, or are people being hysterical? So let's figure this out together and determine if the Trump administration is a fascist regime. First, we need to figure out what fascism is. Fascism is a system where one man has total power over everything: the government, the military, the courts, the economy. And that power is enforced by violence. You submit to their orders and to their rules, or they will hurt you, imprison you, or kill you and your family. Fascism has no policies. It has no economic plans, no vision for how society should be. It is purely a mechanism for one man to seize absolute power and keep it. Everything else is just a tool to get there. That's fascism. Now let's go through the 4 core tenets of fascism and decide together if these tenets match the Trump regime. 1. A leader who is never wrong. Every fascist movement in history has been built around a single infallible leader, not a politician who makes mistakes and then admits those mistakes. A leader who is constitutionally incapable of being wrong. A leader whose failures are always someone else's fault. Always. Without exception. Mussolini was never wrong. Hitler was never wrong. When they were wrong, it was always the socialists, the Jews, the weak, the traitors, anyone but them. Trump has made over 30,000 documented false statements. He lost the 2020 election. More than 60 courts said so. His own attorney general said so. His own director of cybersecurity said so. He said they were all wrong. He was convicted on 34 felony counts. He said the jury was corrupt. The judge was corrupt. The entire justice system was corrupt. He fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics because he didn't like the jobs report, then replaced them with a MAGA loyalist. Because in a fascist system, government data isn't information. It's whatever the leader needs it to say. Notice the pattern? When Trump is wrong, it is never Trump who is wrong. It is always everyone else. The courts, the media, the scientists, the generals, the institutions. Based on this pillar, has Trump met the burden of fascism? The answer is yes. 2. An enemy who is responsible for everything. In fascism, there is always an enemy responsible for all of society's problems. Economic collapse, crime, social decay, national humiliation. Everything bad that happens is because of this enemy. The leader identifies this enemy and tells people that only he has the power to deal with that enemy. Only he can protect the country. Only he can fix what the enemy has broken. This is why the leader needs total power over the government, the military, the courts, and law enforcement. Mussolini blamed socialists and communists for Italy's economic collapse and social chaos. He said they were sabotaging the country from within. Hitler blamed Jewish people for Germany's military defeat and economic depression. Both men used enemies to justify why they needed absolute power to save the nation. Trump blames immigrants for crime, job loss, and economic collapse. He calls them an invasion, poisoning the blood of our country. That phrase appears in Mein Kampf, the book Hitler wrote in prison. Trump blames radical left Democrats for social decay and the breakdown of America. He calls them the enemy from within. At the State of the Union, he publicly shamed and targeted Democrats who wouldn't applaud him. He punished them for dissent in front of the entire country. When a school shooting happens, Trump instantly blames the radical left before any investigation happens, before police finish their work, before anyone knows who did it. The details come out and it's almost never the left, but the blame has already stuck. The enemy is already identified. The narrative is already set. Based on this pillar, has Trump met the burden of fascism? The answer is yes. 3. Extreme loyalty above anything else. In a democracy, loyalty is to the Constitution. Loyalty is to the country. Loyalty is to the rule of law. In fascism, loyalty is to the leader, above everything else. Above the law, above morality, above your own principles, above your company's survival. Mussolini tied private businesses to the state. Companies that served the regime survived. Companies that refused were destroyed. Hitler demanded absolute loyalty from his military, his government, and his people. Anyone who questioned him was purged. Anyone who showed disloyalty was eliminated. Trump purged the military of generals who questioned him. He He fired inspector generals across every federal agency for not showing loyalty. He replaced career civil servants with loyalists, whose only qualification is total devotion to his agenda. Job applicants for his administration fill out questionnaires not about expertise or experience, but about their loyalty to Trump's agenda and their political ideology. When Anthropic refused to allow their AI to be used to spy on American citizens or decide who lives and who dies without a single human being involved, Trump ordered their technology purged from all government use. They did not comply, so they were eliminated. He called Intel's CEO into the White House and demanded 10% of the company. The CEO said yes. That is not a negotiation. That is extortion through loyalty. He got TV shows canceled and threatened broadcast networks with losing their licenses if they did not remove content critical of him. He went after Harvard, Columbia, law firms that represented his opponents. Universities that did not comply had their funding frozen. He demanded the right to install political appointees into universities to control what students are allowed to study. When Mike Pence refused to overturn the election on January 6, 2021, Trump supporters chanted, "Hang Mike Pence." When Republican senators criticized him, he purged them from the party. Based on this pillar, has Donald Trump met the burden of fascism? The answer is yes. 4. Violence against anyone who refuses to comply. Fascism always ends in the same place: violence. Normalized, celebrated, and excused. Mussolini used violence against anyone who resisted. Beatings, murders, intimidation. Violence was the enforcement mechanism of the regime. Hitler used violence on a massive scale. The SA, the Gestapo, the concentration camps: submit or be destroyed. On January 6, 2021, Trump's followers stormed the United States Capitol in a failed insurrection. They beat police officers with flagpoles, they smashed windows, they hunted members of Congress through the halls. It was an attempt to violently overturn a democratic election. Trump pardoned every single insurrectionist on his first day back in office. He called them hostages. He called them political prisoners. He rewrote history at the United States Capitol, calling them patriots. ICE agents shot and killed Renee Good in Minneapolis. They shot and killed Alex Preddy in the streets. Trump defended the agents. No accountability, no consequences. Trump deployed military troops to Los Angeles over the objection of the state and local authorities, not because of a national emergency, but to enforce his agenda to send a message that he has the power to use the military against American cities. He is using the Justice Department to investigate Democratic donors. He attacked the Supreme Court when it ruled 6-3 that his tariffs were illegal. This is not rhetoric. This is a sitting president using the machinery of government as a weapon against anyone who refuses to fall in line. Based on this pillar, has Trump met the burden of fascism? The answer is yes. So let's go back to the original question. Is the Trump administration a fascist regime, or are people being hysterical? Has the burden of proof been met? A leader who is never wrong? Yes. An enemy responsible for everything? Yes. Extreme loyalty above anything else? Yes. Violence against anyone who refuses to comply? Yes. The experts who have spent their entire careers studying fascism are not leaving the United States because they are being hysterical. They are leaving because they recognize what they are looking at. They have seen this before, and they know how it ends. The question is not whether this is fascism. The question is whether we are going to do something about it, because the time to act is now.